Hey, what's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and today's video is kind of a more fun discussion, a little bit trolly, admittedly, but meant in good faith, I guess. I don't really mean anything negative by it, and hopefully we'll end on a pretty positive note. So, today I'm answering the age-old question, does less color-coordinated gear really mean more better? And so I know what you're thinking, that sentence doesn't even make sense. And that is because today we're arguing on the internet. And so rule number one of arguing on the internet is that logic doesn't really have a place in internet arguments. So if we're arguing, who are we arguing with? Let's take a look at anonymous internet user who commented on one of my videos, when EDC becomes cute and color coordinated. I'm almost positive that he purchased things based on their color coordination. You can tell he watched a bunch of YouTube videos related to EDC pouches, and it became more of a hobby than an actual everyday practical use pouch. And so I took that comment and I put together two kits, with one with non-matching gear, one with matching gear, to see which one's better. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not exactly what he was saying in the comment, but rule number two of arguing on the internet is that you're allowed to misconstrue your opponent's words to fit your narrative, which is exactly what I did here. So we have the non-color coordinated on the left, the color coordinated on the right. Let's take a look at what's inside. I didn't want to load these up too much for two reasons. One, I didn't want the video to be too extremely long, but two, you also have to seem in internet arguments that you care a little bit less than your opponent. So that's rule number three, pretend you care a little bit less. I'm breaking that rule a little bit by making a YouTube video about it, but go back to rule number one in that case. So let's take a look. And they have kind of similar, obviously, both Maxpedition, both the Data Crew patches. This one has a CD EDC one as well, but Data Crew patches. But this one's less color coordinated, so you can already tell off the bat it's going to be a little bit better than the color coordinated version on the right. So let's move this out of the way a little bit, get this open. You can see that none of this gear really matches. We've got a red Raylight Pineapple, a raw titanium Signator Junior from CountyCom, the anodized titanium CountyCom wrench, and so those don't match at all. We have a donut Desert Warrior Zippo, and even the colors on the top and bottom don't match. They're complementary, but wouldn't say that they match. We've got a bright green notebook from Field Notes with the Uncommon EDC sticker. And on the right hand side we have a Gondek EDC pry bar, this one in brass, which is important because it doesn't match. Brass isn't the best material for a pry bar. It came in a going gear box, but it's a kind of softer metal, so not super usable, but doesn't match, which is important here. We've got the Gerber arm bar cork in orange. We've got a actually not a Spyderco, Bird Meadowlark. This is the Meadowlark 2. Nice combo edge on there because we didn't want the edge to even be kind of matching. And lastly, really cool Hank from Awesome Hank Gear. This is the Pac-Man one, but really doesn't go with this kit. So kind of a mismatch of items, all decently effective, I'd say, and good EDC gear. Now, what did we put in the color coordinated one? This one's also Maxpedition pouch, all black and gray, so everything goes together, but because I'm putting this together based on color, not going to be as usable as the other pouch, clearly. So over here we have the notorious EDC Beer Bomb, just a little bit of pocket art. We have the Soul Built Mark Smith permanent marker. We have a Cerakoted pry bar to make sure that that's also black. We went with the Multicam Zippo, which same thing as the other Zippo, obviously a little bit less effective because of those colors, but same thing overall. We've got a matching Hank. This one doesn't have the microfiber cloth, but is much larger, from Recycled Firefighter. In the back, we also include the notebook. Obviously, it had to be black on black. This one is from Violent Little Machine Shop, says People to Kill on it. Now, on the right-hand side, we have some more tools. I'm not going to pull everyone out, but Streamlight Wedge, cool flashlight, the Knipex pliers, 4 inchers, the Leatherman rebar, blacked out as well, a ProTech operator, which you can see is black on black. Get it open, even the blade is black, the button has a little bit of tritium in there, but not so visible in the light. Nice kind of undercover black gear. So clearly not as good as the non-matching kit. And obviously I'm trolling a little bit here. And probably noticed that even though both have decent gear, I put a little bit higher quality, better, more reputable gear in here. And that's not to say anything bad about like Awesome Hank gear I'd prefer over the recycled firefighter, but just in general, tried to keep this one just a little bit better in the items I put in there because I'm trolling. And you know, you want to make an argument and only present points that fit your argument when you're arguing on the internet. So I guess that's where we're at. Rule number 4 is really present points that fit your argument and leave out stuff that doesn't. And that's what I did here. So clearly trolling a bit. There's no difference if you color coordinate or you don't. And you know, he makes the point that he probably bought this based on the color coordination. And that's true and it's not true. In that video, I didn't buy any of the gear in that pouch for that video, but yes, I buy gear in different colors. I've been collecting EDC gear for a long time. I have probably over 350 videos on at this point, so I'm always buying new gear and I hold on to that gear. I don't sell 99% of the gear that I have. If you see it in the video, I probably still have it, and so I end up with a lot of gear. And so do I buy something that's like a pry bar, for example, I see it in orange and say, hey, I don't have an orange pry bar yet, let's pick that up? Yeah, for sure, because it's different than what I already have. You want stuff that's a little bit different than what you already have. And through doing that, I ended up with a bunch of gear of different colors. And so pretty easy to put together an all blacked out kit, and black's a pretty common color, so you're thinking, okay, that's easy in the 3 hours since he made that comment. Now, what if you chose a different color? Most colors, there's a couple, I'd say like yellow and pink are probably the 2 that come to mind where I don't have a lot of gear, but even like purple, green, blue, orange, and blue's my favorite color, so I picked out just gear that's pretty recent. I didn't actually even get all of it. And if I wanted to put together a pouch video on blue gear, it would be pretty easy to do so because, as you can see, I have a lot of blue gear. And so I'll just keep going for a little bit as I'm talking, but does this really prove my point? Win the argument? And I'd say that's rule number 5 of arguing on the internet, is that you don't really win arguments. And I'm not really intending to call out this person who left this comment. It was really more of a discussion point. I'm actually grateful that he made it because it gave me the topic for today's video. And I did have something else planned for today's video. Scrap that and end up going with this because I thought it would be a fun discussion. But you can have gear that matches and it works just as well as other gear. All of this gear is available in different colors, and you can get stuff that you like that matches your personality or that just looks good together if that's what you want to do. And it would be pretty hard to argue that some of the knives on the table are bad knives because of the color. I chose them, you know, I chose this PT Plus ProTech Strider knife because it was blue, but did that make it a bad knife? Of course not. It's got magna cut steel, high quality, ProTech's obviously made here in America, very great reputation. This is also blue. This is a Colt knife that I found when I was younger. I was probably 17 or 18 when I found this, and have used it as a random beater knife. It's pretty beat up, scratched up, the tip is rounded, and a knife that I would never buy. It's also blue. So the color of your gear doesn't make any difference in the quality, and that's probably pretty obvious. I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. No one really thinks that the color affects the gear. But the bigger point behind this video is that I don't really see a point in gatekeeping EDC. So one of the things he mentioned was, you know, he watched EDC videos and it became more of a hobby than an actual user. And both can be true. I've been EDCing since I was in Boy Scouts in probably 4th or 5th grade. I've carried a Victorinox Swiss Army knife since then, and it's kind of grown as I got older. And you start out, I bought budget gear, put it in a Maxpedition pouch, and tried to build out a pretty complete loadout. Once I had that built out, I ended up buying gear that matched. I tried to get a black loadout, all blacked, everything. That's where the rebar came from. Some of that gear obviously was really new, but some of that gear I've had for a decent amount of time. In fact, that rebar I think I paid in the 30s, and they're probably like $80 now. And so had it for a long time and did intentionally buy black gear, but none of it was less effective because it was black. I still wanted good quality gear, and all of these companies make multiple colors of it. I could have gotten a satin rebar. I can get a black PT Plus or a yellow James Brand Palmer. And so they come in different colors. There's no reason why you can't do both. And more importantly, there's no real reason to gatekeep what other people EDC. If you want to buy a $10,000 knife and keep it in a safe and only touch it with white gloves, that has no effect on me. I don't care, that's fine. If you want to use a gas station knife and that works and fits your needs, $5, after 5 years it falls apart and you buy another one, also fine with me. Not everyone has to be as into the blade steel or the tip down pocket clip, tip up pocket clip, right hand, left hand, flipper versus button lock versus axis lock. Some people don't care about that, and that's perfectly fine. My stepdad's been carrying a knife my whole life, and the same knife. He never looks at reviews, he never watches videos on knives, he just uses the knife he has, and I'd imagine if it eventually broke down, he'd buy a new one and just use that forever. And that's perfectly okay. And so, of course, I am into EDC as a hobby. I make videos on YouTube as a hobby. Yes, I make some money on it, but not enough to pay for the hobby. I spend more on EDC every single month than I make on YouTube. And so, of course, this is a hobby, but there's no reason it can't be both things. You can be into EDC and it be a hobby, and there's no problem with that. And I'd even argue that the person that left that comment is into EDC as a hobby because you're probably not watching videos on a bunch of different gears and a bunch of different pouches and different loadouts to fulfill your just needs for a pouch. You just buy a pouch at Home Depot or the Goodwill, Savers. There's plenty of pouches out there you can get on Amazon and just be done with it and never look again. But if you're watching videos, you're probably in EDC as a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so that was kind of my main point in responding. I don't respond to every comment. I try to respond to most of them, and I get to probably 90 to 95%. If they're spam, if they're super trolly, or if I had one the other day that was like, can I have this item that wasn't in the giveaway, just like have it, and like stuff like that, of course I'm not responding to. And YouTube does a pretty good job of filtering out super trolly comments, and this comment I wouldn't say is really on that level. I'm probably gonna go back and respond something just kind of random, polite. I might just throw a shrug emoji, I don't know. I'm not upset about them or at the person who commented. Don't want to start a witch hunt to them, although I did leave the name on that picture. It wasn't because I wanted to start a witch hunt, I just didn't want to edit it out. But overall, I think it was just kind of a good discussion to have, because if someone wants to carry a Desert Warrior Elementum or Boker Kalashnikov, that shouldn't really affect you. I don't know why people get upset and feel the need to say, why are you carrying this? Or why don't you use your knife enough? Some of these are really used, some of them hardly used at all, and that's just because I have a lot of gear. It's not because any of them are really safe queens. But if it was a safe queen, also have no problem with that. So I guess that's the point of this video, is people can carry what they want and it doesn't really have effect on anyone else. I don't see the point in like arguing in the comments or really telling people you should be carrying this instead of this, because everyone's needs are different. And so that was kind of the whole point about this. I know it was a little bit of a trolly way to do it, and like I said, I had good intent behind it, all meant in good fun. But let me know in the comments your EDC hot takes. If there's one that gets me fired enough, maybe I'll make another video like this. Obviously, again, only in good faith there. Don't really want people arguing in the comments or anything like that. And let me know if this is a type of video that you're interested in, just these general discussion videos. I do a lot of obviously unboxing, overviews, reviews, that sort of thing, but not a lot of general discussion. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely let me know. One of the other things that I'll probably do a little bit of, I've gotten some requests for, is just like pocket dump type stuff, which I do somewhat in these pouches, but these are, again, really just meant to show what fits in a pouch. And that's something I guess I should talk about also is, he commented on an overview of a Viperade tool pouch. And so when I'm showing what's in those, it's not because this is like a how-to guide of what you should carry in a pouch. They're just to give you an idea of this is the types of gear that fits in the different pockets. Yes, there's dimensions listed on the website, but sometimes it's easier to say like, hey, I have a Hogue Deca, will that fit in this pocket? Or I'm familiar with a Hogue Deca and I have a similar size knife, will that fit in this pocket? And seeing it in the pouch gives you an idea. Also makes the pouches a little bit more interesting. And so yes, some of them are color coordinated, not very many actually, but that one did do pretty well. People like the color coordination of it for the most part, aside from that comment. And so every once in a while I will try and do that. If the loadout makes sense, I still do try and put gear that makes sense in there and that some people are somewhat familiar with. Maybe you're not familiar with this specific Everyman pen. I think this is the Everyman Grafton, but you know what a standard size pen looks like, and give or take a centimeter or so, a standard size pen is going to be pretty similar to any other pen. And maybe I have a mini pen in there because that's all that will fit. You know that this is half or so size of a regular pen, and kind of can get a sense of scale from that. And so that's kind of the type of thing that goes into those pouches. None of them are meant to say, hey, buy this pouch and put this exact stuff in there. I don't really have any skin in the game for what you buy. I want to show you gear, and if it's stuff that you're into, I put links in the description, some of them affiliate links, some non, but don't really want to be that influenced. I just want to show what's out there and give you my thoughts on it, and you make your own decision. And that's what pretty much everyone does. Obviously, I'm not telling people, hey, you have to buy this knife because this is my favorite knife. And that's really not what the channel's about. Never will be about that. And so, yeah, that's it, I guess. Long rant. We're at about 16 minutes at this point, so a little bit long there, but just thought it was kind of a fun discussion to hear what other people's thoughts are on just more generally, nothing to do with the color coordination, more generally just the gatekeeping in EDC, on like what someone else should carry and what your thoughts are on that, and other kind of hot topics that maybe we can talk about and have a civilized discussion. Obviously, again, no trolling, especially to the person that commented that. That comment is still up and have no intention of taking it down or anything like that. No harm in anything he said there, and definitely not offended by it. So thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, contribute to the discussion, and as always, hope you have a great one. Take care.